Okay, good afternoon. My name is Rob Litzenberger. This is going to be my first attempt at trying to make a video ever, and also for the We Were Viking YouTube page. I appreciate Ben Griffith for coming up with this idea. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what develops. And first of all, I started at Viking July 12th, 1978, at the young age of 24. I was West Bay employee number 2185, hired by Lenny Mazingo. He had me start the very next day. They needed people really bad. I interviewed one day and started the next. And I remember starting on the dock, 4 a.m., $4 an hour. I remember Toasty, Milton, Sal, the other dock supervisors. We were quite a cast of characters. I remember freight piled so high on the dock it was almost to the ceiling. There was only enough room for the forklift and dock workers to get through. It was amazing. I didn't work on the dock very long, and soon I was into the driver training program. My trainer, John Oden, took me through all the programs, and soon I was a city driver. I ran a Santa Clara route at first, and very soon I was placed on the Mission District route in San Francisco. So myself, along with Diesel Jack, Lee Starbuck, Louise Wengert, Jim Sears, Jim Henderson, and many others, we covered the city. It was actually a great route. The daily variations that came with it were amazing. Lunch at the Doggy Diner, of course, from the Dirty Harry movies. Some days I remember, in fact, I remember one particular day when I was pulling out in my tractor trailer out of an alley on the Mission Street. I had to pull out across the sidewalk to wait for traffic to clear, and people were actually ducking under my trailer instead of going around. Unbelievable. Eventually, I got into line training program and became a fill-in line driver. My very first gig was filling in for John Holtby, driving his CL9000, tractor number 4128. John had fallen at home, seriously injured or even broke his back, I can't remember which. And it was then that I started running into either San Fernando or Los Alamitos on a regular basis. I did become a regular of sorts. So many names I remember: Mike Menny, Keith Gunter, Bud Peluche, Jim France, Ben Griffith, Mike Biggs, Jimmy Tillman, who drove for Willig at that time. So many people. I'm sorry if I don't have a list of them all here. There were so many. I didn't realize then that I would be doing this for the next 3 or more years, and I didn't realize that this company and these people would become lifelong friends for me. I also remember those we lost during this time. Dick's father, Russ Bangham, we lost very early on. Driver TJ out of Sacramento, Tom Jones. He was killed in his truck near Buttonwillow. And later on, a little later, once I had finally made it on the regular line board, I'll never forget the day that Bud Peluche drove into my driveway. With a face of sadness, he told me that we had lost John Holtby the night before. John was killed in his personal truck. We began to realize how tight our family really was, and we were actually losing family members. So many memories, so many stories, so many laughs, some sadness. It was always a great day in the family. Layover at San Fernando at the apartment on Woodman Avenue, or at the Mission Hills Inn Motel, which, by the way, I got a jaywalking ticket at the motel walking over to Alpha Beta. A motorcycle cop with nothing better to do decided I should be cited for jaywalking. Dinner with Jim France, Mike Menny, Keith Gunter, and others at the same restaurant every night where the roast beef dinners were just right. And when it was layover in Los Alamitos at the apartment near Disneyland, dinner many times was at the Hungry Tummy taco stand in the parking lot next to the apartment. That was one of John Holtby's favorites, by the way. Also Norbert Heinen, if you remember Norbert. I remember laying over with Norbert one time in Los Alamitos, and for some reason a noise woke us up during the day at a couple points during the day. And every time it woke us up, Norbert would sit right up and start putting on his socks. We'd tell him each time it was not time to get up, and he'd lay right back down and go back to sleep. I remember when Mike Martinez joined us on line haul in his first trip north over the Grapevine. If you know Mike, he had zero patience. He became impatient with the slow downhill speed limit on the Grapevine going north. So we jokingly told him, well, as soon as you can see the lights of Bakersfield, you can cut her loose. I don't know how fast he was going when he hit the bottom of that hill at Weaver Ridge. So many laughs, so many stories, so many memories. Anyway, I don't want to drag this first video on and on. This is just a test to see how it goes. I'll have plenty more to say in future installments. Anyone that knows me knows I'm not short on stories. Take care, everyone. I'll see you in part 2.